What's up, YouTube? It's Devin Midrow here, back again with video 32. High confidence, video 32. And quick disclaimer, I did listen to my previous video, video 31, and discovered that the audio quality was not as great as I intended it to be. Why? Because the headphones that I actually bought were not working. What do you know? Brand new headphones didn't work right out the box. Right out the box. Right? And so I went ahead and got a different pair. And I tested these ones and they worked. So it's always important to test before you go live. Because that was a long video too. I think that was like 26 minutes. Luckily, when I listened to it, it wasn't too bad, because I think it was just my phone was capturing the audio at that point, so it was just capturing my my voice from the phone speakers. And I listened to it, I was like, oh, I can understand it, but it's definitely not as clean as using headphones like this. So there's that lesson right there. Definitely make sure you test your equipment before you assume that it works. Just because you buy it brand new doesn't mean that it's going to work. So, yep, that's that right there. This will definitely be a shorter video, for sure, as I'm starting it at a later time. I guess I wasn't as inspired as I was yesterday. And I had a few things going on as well. So, exciting stuff. I actually, if anybody knows what Zapier is, Zapier, right? There's so much software. It's amazing what the internet has done. If you really think about the internet, right? Just the concept of it is pretty incredible. I mean, we're all able to connect with each other to a certain degree, right? I mean, obviously it's digitally, right? You can send digital emails, and you can send videos, and you can send PDFs and all that stuff, right? And you can send it like that, like instant, boom, right? You can get it to people. So I mean, you look at what we have nowadays compared to 50 years ago, 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago. The opportunities, I think if somebody, from 30 years just jumped to the future right now, and they had the mindset of, they're already in business, they would just skyrocket. You know what I mean? Because they would see the advantages now that we have with that, just the fact that the internet is free to use right now. I don't know how, if they ever could, you never know, right? They might be like, yeah, if you want to use the internet now, you got to spend. Well, you already kind of got to spend money to use the internet. I mean, you got to have an internet service provider, right? So there's that charge, but who knows if they'll throw additional charges, right? Like parking costs are outrageous. It's just absolutely insane, the amount that they charge for parking costs. It's wild. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get into, is the internet. So much opportunity, but there's a lot of software. And I don't know, for some reason I pick a topic and boom, I just kind of like spiral down a rabbit hole, right? And I dig myself out pretty quickly though. But Zapier is a tool that I have yet to master. I got a lot to learn, but it's a really powerful tool if you know how to use it, because Zapier is kind of like the internet glue. Like if you need to glue together, say there's like two websites, right? One of them speaks English, the other one speaks, let's just say Spanish, right? Obviously, they're going to have a hard time communicating, right? There's going to be a barrier, of communication between the two of them. Zapier kind of basically is a translator, except it's in computer language, right? And it makes it easier for the end user, such as myself, who's not a coder, to get in there and connect those programs without having to code them in, like hard code it, like know how to do all the there's a lot into code. I mean, there's like Java, and there's just a laundry list of coding right out there. And so that's kind of what it does, right? And I got a lot to learn, but I was able to I'm kind of figuring it out, right? And I got it working today. I did have to get some help, but I got it working. And because I got it working, now I got, that was kind of the last piece that was holding me back to really kind of run this offer and promote it, because I could have not had it in place, right? I could have went that route and went, oh, well, let me do the harder way, right? By just, because the leads would have showed up, and I could have just downloaded the CVS, and I could have uploaded it, CVS, and boom, been done with it, right? It's a task that that I could do. It probably wouldn't take me that long to do it. However, with Zapier, instead of me hiring an employee and paying them, or instead of me, burning my time to do what I just described, Zapier is a tool that as soon as they enter in their information, they're doing the work. The lead's entering their information. The person, it's a human being, right? Call them a lead, right? On our list. It's a human being entering their information. First name, last name, email, right? Very basic information. And when they do that with Zapier, what that does is it triggers an automation, right? So it does something that it creates an automation that will do it automatically. So when they enter that information, Zapier will take that and go, oh, they just entered in their first, last name, email. All right, I'm going to send that over to your email list and add that as a contact to your email list, right? And without me having to do anything, I don't have to do nothing. I mean, I have to do the work to set it up. But once you set it up, that's what systems are all about. And that's where real leverage comes into place. If you look at a business, you look at an owner, and you look at the employees that the owner hires to run the business, and you wonder, why does the owner make the most money? Well, because they're the ones that are setting up the systems, right? They're setting up the systems, and who is a part of the system? You, if you're an employee. You are a part of the owner's system. And the owner is leveraging you and saying, I'll pay you this much. And if I pay you this much, you're going to do these things for me. And if you do these things for me, then we're good. You get paid. I get the, actions that I asked you to take care of, and we're good, right? Here's the key. The owner has to ensure they don't pay you more than what they are profiting by the actions that you're taking, within that business, right? Same thing could be said about this tool. If this tool that I'm using, being Zapier, was $1,000 a month, depending on what kind of business you're running and how much you're bringing in, you can look at your numbers and justify making that purchase. For me personally, I probably wouldn't spend $1,000 a month on a tool like that. However, people pay employees a lot more than that a month, right? Depending on the business model. So maybe I would spend $1,000 a month if it really was that important to me. But in this situation, I really wouldn't spend $1,000. I'd probably do it myself, as I'm still kind of getting started. But if I had a savvy business going and I was making a sizable income, $1,000 a month, if you're making $40,000 a month and you've got to spend $1,000, I think that justifies it just fine. So you just gotta, it's all about numbers in business, right? At the end of the day, you look at business, you look at just about anything that operates, as long as you're bringing in more money than you're spending, you could run a business. That's really the biggest metric, right? People can look at all kind of other metrics, but bottom line is, if you're in the black more than you're in the red, you should be all right. And then, of course, vice versa, you might want to reassess and look at your bottlenecks or look at what's causing that to take place, make those corrections, and ensure that you can continue being in business. If you look at these people in business for years, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years plus, that's the real question you got to ask. What are they doing in that business to ensure that the bottom line, no questions asked, they are making money, they are profiting, they are profitable business? That's really what it all comes down to, right? Because if you're not, there's problems that are not being addressed. And if they're not being addressed, they're going to continue to fester and grow just like weeds. And eventually you won't be in business. Yeah, you could have a business name at best, but if you ain't got money to support it, that's about all you got. So that's kind of the takeaway for today is Find systems. Online there's so much opportunity. Find tools online that you can leverage. You pay it this much a month, and you get this output out of it, and it's so much simpler than having a brick and mortar business. I'm not saying people who have brick and mortar businesses aren't wise. There probably a lot of successful people that have brick and mortar businesses, right? But I would think that anybody starting out in this day and age, there's such a solid way to make an income, and it's a very low barrier of entry, going on the interwebs, right? I mean, you want to go inside a brick and mortar, you can do that. It's going to take time, going to take a lot of hard work. Same thing with any other business you start, including online. But the likeliness of being successful and learning and growing and optimizing online and at a very high speed with very little friction, that's the key right there. So I'm going to leave you with that. Let that kind of digest with you. And I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Click on any links below the video that aren't there yet, but will be. And I'll catch you on the next one. Aloha.